we're all glad the footy's back. The SANFL, of course, is back and firing. 2 games underway. The Panthers just coming along pretty nicely, sitting in 4th spot at 1-1. The coach, Jarrad Wright's been good enough to slip into the studio and give us a bit of time. Jarrad, how are you?
Thanks for having me, boys. I'm well.
Oh, good, mate. Now, I suppose we've got to touch on the most recent game, Glenelg, mate. They got off to a bit of a flyer. Your boys, fantastic coming back. 5 point, I think it was, at the end of the game.
Yep.
Always disappointed when you lose, but what's your take of the good things away from that game?
Yeah, we finished off the game really well, and we did the same the week before against the Eagles and got over the line. So I think there's a really good spirit amongst the group in regards to coming back when we're under pressure. We just need to try and find the formula to not let games, get out of a bit far too much for each, and we can start better.
Suffered a real blow with Matty Rose, co-captain. That's a real blow because he's a good player. He's a bloke that you would have been looking to lead and play well. Injuries, I know, are real sad when you get them, but that's a bad one. That looked a bad one. Is it a bicep or is that an operation on?
He had surgery last week, so he tore the bicep tendon off his elbow insertion. So it's 12-week surgery. So we're hopeful if the team does the right thing by him and we can consolidate a final spot in a few weeks' time, he might be able to play towards the end of the season.
Hey, Jarrad, pre-season I saw an interview with you where you talked about you wanted to improve some areas and stoppage was one of them. You're going to introduce some new systems into play, and it would have been fine had the season rolled on pretty nicely, not corona affected. Mm-hmm. How'd you find the disruptions with what you were trying to put in place? Yeah,
no, we put some new systems in place on the back of losing a couple of quality ruckmen. We probably just need to change the way we were setting up in our formation just to read oppo hits a little bit more. So it's probably given us a little bit more time over the break for our young ruckman to just mature and develop a little bit. That extra 3 to 4 months break has given him some time to mature a little bit more in Cam-agree. So we started off the year reasonably well in that area. We got beaten up and contested ball a bit earlier against Glenelg, but we managed to resurrect that in the second half, and obviously that got us back into the game. So
the ins and outs from last season, you mentioned a couple of ruckmen, but that wouldn't have been all you would have lost. And who have you gained?
So we've gained Matthew Broadbent. Obviously a good power player, played 170 AFL games, and he's a local Henley boy, which is my old club. So we've got a bit of a connection through the Sharks, and he's come on board. We managed to pick up a young kid called Tom Heimel from the Canberra Demons, who was playing in the NEAFL and was NEAFL Team of the Year for 2 years in a row. He's a sort of a third tall defender. He's a really quality player, and he had an outstanding game round 1 and was serviceable on the weekend. So he's certainly finding his level in the SANFL competition. We picked up Ben Sawford from an old Port boy and played at the Bays the last few years, so he's should play next week. He's just coming back from a light quad. So
sorry, mate, who was that one?
Ben Sawford.
Oh, Benny Sawford.
Yeah, Benny Sawford. So
ball magnet.
He'll hopefully play next week in the reserves, and he was certainly in our best 18, but hurt a quad about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So they're our 3 main ins for this season.
Jarrad, you played some young kids. Sorry, Bez. Some young kids last year. A couple got a game, some got 2 or 3. You've been happy with the development for those guys coming into this season?
Yeah, certainly. I think on the weekend we had 6 players that had played under 10 league games and another 2 or 3 that had played under 20. So half of our team were junior products through our academy system, and all of those players have played in an under-18s grand final in the last 2 years. So we've got a really good balance between experience and youth, and we're looking to continually grow that over this season. There's a couple of really good youngsters coming through that look to be good future players. So really happy with their development, and again to come back and compete after being 7 goals down against the reigning premiers and play the way we did in the last quarter shows that there's a bit of ability there.
That's going to give them enormous confidence, that is, because that's a big gap there was there. You were getting thumped, to be brutal. You were getting murdered. But that last quarter, they'd be looking forward now to running out this weekend. There's no doubts at all. They'll be ready to go. One question I did want to ask you, mate, was I've always been a big fan of the southern area for football talent, and I've brought this up before with a couple of guys, but how closely do you look at, because there's been a couple of players now that have been selected in the league coming from amateur clubs, coming from your Adelaide Footy League at 27, 28 years of age. There's been a couple of examples. How closely do you look at the Southern Footy League, for instance, and the Great Southern Footy League, to be fair?
Yeah, we've got a really strong connection with both leagues, and I've been involved obviously with Woodville Torrens as a player and as a coach, and certainly the work that the South Adelaide Football Club does in their zone through junior pathway and that connection with league coaches is probably the best that I've seen it in regards to the way we communicate throughout the coaches and without the league. We've got eyes and ears out around the area, and we always invite probably 6 or 7 players out each year from our local grade, as well as obviously our junior academy. Like half of our team now is made up of local players, whereas probably about 7 or 8 years ago it was more 80% recruits. So we're now more 50-50, which is good for stability and I guess future success.
Well, it's great because kids will want to go there. If they know that Phil's gone there from the Cove Footy Club, say, he's been invited down, well, I want to be invited down. I think that's how it works. And I know, the reason I asked you that question was because I think quite a few years ago they were ignored. Yet it's such a big area for football. It's a massive area and some very good players out there too as well. But those players tended to go down to Glenelg or go down somewhere else and just bypass South Adelaide. So if what you're doing now, and I understand that anyway, that you are doing it, that will reap benefits for the football club, no doubt, in the future. No doubts at all.
Yeah, certainly our talent pathway of the past 6 or 7 years. Bangers, Tony Bamford, set up our academy about 7 years ago, and Mark Clayton runs the academy program for the last 2 years. So there was a real change in mindset in regards to the way we treat and develop our junior talent through our zone, and I'm starting to see the fruits of that now with, like I said, 8 players under the age of 20 that have all come through our program. So,
Mate, Central's this weekend out at the Ponderosa, big ground, suit the style of footy for the Panthers, big open spaces.
Yeah, certainly we're more of a running team. Obviously, with losing a few key tools in drafts and mid-season drafts, we haven't been able to quite replenish that stock just yet. So we're more of an open running team, and certainly that'll suit us this week.
When do you leave? Go up there.
From Norlogan, it's a bit of a hike.
Lucky I'm a local Western Henley boy, so it's about halfway for me. But like I said, most of our junior players have got a good hour and 20-minute hike to the Ponderosa.
They would travel just by themselves, wouldn't they? The players, you wouldn't worry about getting a bus or anything like that.
No, we've discussed a few options over the past couple of years in regards to that stuff, but it's they boys like to prepare their own way, and most of them will carpool and get 2 or 3.
Hey, Jarrad, appreciate your time coming in, mate. No, it's a busy time during the season for a coach. Good luck on the weekend, and the rest of the season looks like it'll be a belter. So get down and support the Panthers. They're on a roll at the moment. Jarrad and the boys would like your support. Stay with us. A bit more to come.